So welcome. We are here to talk about supporting the career pathways for English language learners. This session is brought to you by New Readers Press and Pro Literacy, which is no surprise since I'm sure that's who invited you. And my name is Tad Wamester. I'm director of the New Americans Initiative at Voxy. A little bit about myself. I've been working in immigrant and refugee workforce development and upskilling programs for about 13 years. I've done extensive work with skilled immigrants as well as upskilling programs ranging from technology and healthcare, a variety of different sectors. I'm here to talk about Voxy, and also to talk about our relationship with New Readers Press, because I hope that you will be connecting with your New Readers Press representative. New Readers Press is a channel partner and reseller of Voxy, so really appreciative that they brought together this group. Let's see how many we're up to. Good, we're at 27 participants, wonderful. So let's get started with today's presentation. If you have questions, please feel free to chat those in the chat or in the Q&A. So I don't think that there'll be much argument on within today's group that English is an incredibly important skill to enable integration and economic security and civic engagement. There are so many benefits that come along with new Americans, immigrants, and refugees improving their language skills. At the same time, there's also a national focus right now, especially thinking about how we can help people get back to work, how we can help people to get the skills that they need to compete for jobs, to connect with career pathways, and also to connect with advancement opportunities within the workplace. But there is a challenge in that the vast majority of technical training programs, an upskilling initiative or apprenticeship program, or a training program for incumbent workers, they often have to have a specific proficiency level, whether that's intermediate or higher, and to be able to participate and to succeed in that program. And so often immigrants and refugees are left out of these upskilling initiatives that lead to good paying jobs and career advancement. Additionally, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that COVID-19 has created incredible challenges for the healthcare sector, certainly, as well as the education sector, whether you're in K-12, adult ed, higher education. COVID-19 is making upskilling and reskilling more difficult for the learners that you work with. Also, immigrants, refugees, communities of color, women have all been more significantly impacted by job losses and unemployment benefits and enhanced unemployment is either expired or expiring. So it's very important that we support immigrant communities as they pursue employment and economic security. Adult education has never been more important as a resource for new Americans, for adult learners. But how do we help immigrants, refugees, English language learners to connect with not only the English language skills they need, but also those educational and technical training opportunities? I would say that structured programs are definitely needed to support learners as they work towards their career, educational, and economic goals. So these are just some terms to describe upskilling programs and career pathway programs for English language learners. On-ramps to careers, that's something that I've been working on a lot with a variety of different partners, helping English language learners to prepare for integrated education and training programs where they can receive language skills as well as technical skills, helping them to transition into those programs from just traditional ESL programs. Also, bridge programs that are structured and align with a specific technical training. I'm hearing more and more about pre-apprenticeship programs helping individuals who have either language gaps or skills gaps to build those basic skills, those foundational skills that will allow them to succeed in an apprenticeship program. And there seems to be an ongoing focus on apprenticeship programs, specifically employer-driven apprenticeship programs. And then also there's an increased focus on creating those IET career pathway programs, supporting learners as they make the transition into those skills development programs. So before we go on to continuing to talk about career pathways, I want to introduce Voxy and talk about Voxy in the context of supporting the development of career pathway programs at your organization. So Voxy has a simple mission of empowering people to achieve their goals by breaking down language barriers. English language skills is definitely a predictor of success and economic security. So as we help individuals to improve their language skills, it opens up incredible opportunities for them. Voxy is about 10 years old. We've worked with over 4 million learners across the globe. We have a unique, patented, and award-winning software that is very different than many of the English language learning platforms that you've heard of or that you use. One of the main differences is that we use real-world content, so news articles, employer training materials, current event articles. So the content is very relevant and up-to-date. Also, we have a best-in-class and comprehensive reporting tool so that you, as a program manager or teacher, can know exactly how much time on task your learners are spending in the platform. You can track which courses are being completed, how engaged learners are, whether they're taking live classes. There's so much information that can be gathered in the command center. And Voxy uses the aggregate data to make sure that we are improving our learning outcomes. And Voxy is incredibly focused on enabling proficiency gains. And we do have third-party evaluation that shows that Voxy can accelerate proficiency gains while providing learners with access to career trainings. So I like this image, and it's interesting. We used to have a similar slide about this same topic, but it showed someone surfing. And what is in common between surfing and learning to cook, or learning to cook and learning to surf? Well, I would say that context is very important. This group is learning, looks like they're learning to bake something. There are many different skills that they'll be learning, whether that's measurement and following directions and, they're understanding, setting temperatures and timers. Um, but, you could read a cookbook from cover to cover, and you still wouldn't necessarily know how to cook. Cooking is something where context and practice is incredibly important. And I think that there are many topics where it's important to understand context and content. I want to step back for a minute and just state these are some of the ingredients to language learning that are agreed upon, I would say, by researchers. So what does it take to learn a language? It takes input, so listening and reading. It takes output, speaking and writing. It takes interaction, whether those are written correspondence or conversations between individuals, as well as feedback. And that can be implicit or explicit feedback from teachers, from peers. But this is kind of what's agreed upon as the ingredients to learning a new language. And Voxy really tries to achieve those different ingredients and help learners to connect with those different strategies for learning a language. We provide access to integrated education and training through our relevant, contextualized, and task-based lessons that teach not only English language, but also skills and responsibilities related to a career pathway. So you'll see this learner is actually studying to be a CNA. So they're learning healthcare vocabulary. They're learning some of the responsibilities and tasks associated with that career field. And by studying this vocational English language related to a specific career pathway, it's improving their chances that they're going to graduate from that program, complete that certification, and also succeed in that job. Also, one I would say grounding principle of Voxy is that a blended approach is what works best. We believe in the power of teachers and adult educators. I'm trained as an adult educator and have done an extensive amount of direct training in a classroom and online, working with immigrants and refugees. But what we know is that we should be using technology where it can support learning outcomes and personalize instructions and free up time for teachers to do what they do best, which is teach and provide both group and one-on-one support to learners. So Voxy is a tool that is a resource to teachers. It is a tool in their tool belt. And we really believe that not only during these times of COVID and the pandemic, but also I think, for all time, a blended approach works best, and having that technology in place can really provide a lot of flexibility. If classrooms are open or closed, it allows learners to continue learning. Voxy takes a very specific approach to the content that we use to learn English. We don't use scripted or outdated learning materials. We want to provide those learners with the information that they need for different career preparation, but also based on their interests and goals. Personalization is really key to the Voxy experience. So you'll see these are just a couple of examples of our integrated education and training, where learners are learning English while they're also learning about a specific career pathway or sector. An additional strategy for personalizing instruction is the Voxy needs analysis. So this is one of the primary steps that learners take. They actually share why they're learning English, what are some of the topics that are of interest to them, whether that's understanding interviews or getting around town. And by sharing their goals, their interests, as well as their proficiency that the platform learns about the learner through the needs analysis and the Voxy proficiency assessment, it can provide the right content that's aligned with the goals, the learner's interests and goals, and at the right level. And that's, again, another core principle, that we know that the right thing is different for everyone. And so each of these learners has different educational backgrounds, different native language, different goals, interests, and proficiency level. The more that we can tailor their experience to those unique factors, the more engaged they will be, the more motivated they will be, and the more successful their learning will be. So, related to the topic of integrated education and training and career pathways, I want to talk about something, how Voxy creates the lessons that learners see. So we have a patented and award-winning content development tool that takes existing content, whether that's news articles, employer training materials. The platform pulls out specific keywords that are related to that piece of content, generates hundreds, literally hundreds of personalized activities so that the learner gets the right content at the right level. And the platform actually learns from their performance and proficiency level to make sure that they are getting the best content and the most relevant content. This is just an example, taking a YouTube video related to COVID-19 and infection control and safety protocols. And the platform transforms that into a language lesson that is based on that piece of real-world content, that video. But the language lesson will have questions and vocabulary activities, and learners will recreate passages and match synonyms. There are 13 different types of activities. The platform adapts to learners' performance and proficiency level, but each lesson is based on a piece of authentic real-world content. And we combine those lessons into units. We combine those units into courses. So these are just some examples of some of the career pathway courses that exist in Voxy. And you'll see a lot of different focus areas that I'm sure your programs are working on, whether that is a food and beverage pathway, technology pathways, including IT help desk and support or software engineering, healthcare pathways like English for certified nursing assistants. All of this content exists in the Voxy platform and can be leveraged by you to rapidly create new career pathway programs, or to allow a group of learners to pursue the career pathway that aligns with their goals, interests, and abilities. You'll see there's an image from one of our new courses, Introduction to English for Warehouse Machinery. This is a course that can be used with incumbent workers or job seekers because using warehouse machinery and having stronger language skills so that you can understand technical training, allows learners to connect with career pathways and career advancement opportunities. So these are two examples of courses that Voxy created just over the past few months, knowing that demand has shifted in the employment landscape, and there are sectors like e-commerce and transportation and logistics and manufacturing that are actually growing and hiring. So these are employment opportunities that are available now to workers, to English language learners, and the more that they can connect with that specific language of these different employment opportunities and career pathways, the more likely that they'll be able to connect with employment. So these are two examples of courses that were developed, helping people to gain the language skills they need to work in a warehouse, to work in e-commerce, or to understand safety and operation of warehouse machinery. Here's another example of one of the very popular career pathway courses. So Voxy created two different extensive courses related to the Certified Nursing Assistant career pathway. These can be immediately plugged into your program to help learners have an on-ramp to that technical training program. The course was developed directly from the Ready CNA training program for CNAs, so that's a certification program. And this will allow learners to gain the specific vocational English, the vocabulary they need to be able to succeed in a training program, to be able to pass that certification, and eventually succeed in working in this allied health and workplace environment. Additionally, the stronger someone's language skills are, English language skills are, the more likely they are to connect with continuing career pathway and career advancement opportunities, to have the ability to provide competent healthcare to patients. I think this is a real benefit not only for the learner, but also for patients and the healthcare institution. Because the more that they can bring English language learners in, they're also bringing their native language into the workplace. And the more languages that we have in a healthcare environment, the better care that individuals will receive. It's a safer environment for patients and workers. So again, let's back up and say, what is Voxy? So let me, because I like to summarize. Voxy is a digital English language learning solution. It is focused on the learner and learner-centered. So we develop lessons based on real-world content, authentic content that is sector-specific or career pathway-specific. There's also a ton of content around educational pathways and English for academic purposes, helping English language learners to transition into higher education, for example. In addition to our sector-specific content, there's also interest area and current events. So there's always something new in the Voxy platform. We actually deploy new content on a daily basis. Additionally, in terms of innovation, Voxy is a platform that is accessible on mobile devices, on tablets, on laptops. We really think about access and trying to make the platform as accessible as possible. So learners can log in with an email and password combination, just like they'd log into Facebook or LinkedIn. So there's no download, they can use it at any computer. And when they're using the platform on their mobile device and a computer, it tracks that usage across platforms. And so you can see in the command center their aggregate time on task, whether they're using that on a mobile device or on a computer. Learners can start a lesson on their phone and finish it on a computer. We even have the ability to download lessons onto their phone when they have Wi-Fi and use it in offline mode. Another area of innovation is the level of personalization. So I mentioned native language, proficiency level, performance, interest areas, and goals. These are all ways that Voxy personalizes the learning to the user, to the learner. We're built for impact and scale, so it's easy to deploy. Voxy and the ProLiteracy and New Readers Press team work with you to configure the platform to meet your needs, train you on both the learner experience as well as the administrator and teacher experience, and train you on the Voxy command center so that you can easily keep track of your learners, know who's engaged, who's not engaged, and give the appropriate nudges where they're needed, and also recognize those folks who are doing excellently, and it's ready-made to set up a leaderboard, let's say. So we're focused on results, we're focused on proficiency gains, and we know that Voxy works for a number of reasons. Well, actually included in Voxy is the Voxy Proficiency Assessment. This is a way to measure ongoing proficiency gains, measurable skill gains. You'll see that we have this aligned to NRS and scores that you might be used to, whether that's using Best Plus or CASAS for assessment. The Voxy platform this is an online assessment, computer-based, and it can give you those data points as to what is the starting proficiency level for your learners. The Voxy Proficiency Assessment also allows the platform to really understand the learner's proficiency level, their strengths and weaknesses, across different domains. So whether that's their grammar skills, their reading comprehension, their listening skills, the Voxy Proficiency Assessment measures those areas. We also know from example that this is a workplace ESL program where learners were able to connect with a pay increase. That's an hourly pay increase, but also multiple employees were able to connect with career advancement opportunities. Like we had mentioned, that warehouse, forklift operator. Also, managers notice the changes in their employees. They notice more engagement, more confidence. And so this is just an example of a successful workplace ESL program, which are very difficult to implement, but Voxy makes it easier. Also, and this is an exciting program that is ongoing and expanding, working with a large university system. Voxy is being utilized with diverse populations, including undergraduate international students, graduate international students, faculty, and this is actually an example of being used with facilities and residential services workers. These learners are able to connect with proficiency gains. Their usage was incredibly strong, and not surprisingly, but learners who studied more also improved their level, and learners even exceeded that minimum usage during their work weeks and over the holidays. So this was a program that we really feel was incredibly successful, received very positive feedback from the manager or employer champion and also the learners themselves. And then another pilot that or program that anyone who was able to attend the COABE session that I did, we were talking about a program where we actually compared learners in WIOA-focused ESOL programs. There was a Voxy group and a comparison group. So some learners had access to Voxy, but they were different classes at a public library. They were the same, I think it was a low intermediate level for all of the classes. And the learners who had access to Voxy, who were able to study on their own schedule, on demand, they were able to more frequently make 1 and 2 level NRS gains. And this was just over less than 3-month program. An example of another program, this is the Welcoming Center for New Pennsylvanians. This program was focused on career exploration. It was also focused on, I believe, low intermediate level learners, but who had digital literacy challenges. So this program allowed learners to complete content, complete lessons on the go, outside of class time. It allowed learners to connect with different career pathways, because even in one class of learners, there's a lot of diversity in terms of educational backgrounds. Some learners may be interested in those food and beverage career pathways, other hospitality, customer service. So it allows the learners to pursue the career pathway that's of interest to them. And we saw the vast majority of learners improving their proficiency test scores. This was a 12-week program. Voxy is aligned to those WIOA standards, whether those are transitions to education and training, preparing for careers, job retention and job placement, digital literacy, and integrated English literacy and civics. So there's a lot of career relevant content that can support the learning and employment outcomes for your adult English language learners. We're proud that Voxy has received recognition, awards, but also certifications. Just this summer, we received the Digital Promise Research-Based Design Product Certification. And that means that Voxy's pedagogy is based on research. It's based on sound learning theory. We're included in that in the workforce ed tech, the cohort of low-cost tools that provide that are effective for adult learners. Voxy is a tool that has been used in so many different contexts, whether that's an allied health talent development program, library-based ESOL programs, community colleges, universities, as well as employers and nonprofit organizations. So Voxy is a flexible tool, configurable to the needs of the organization that's sponsoring the program and also to the individual learners. And I am going to pause and see if any questions have come in. Let's see if I can get that open. So please feel free to chat in any questions you may have. Use the Q&A function. So as an example, oh, we'll see, is there one? Oh, I'm having trouble accessing the Q&A. Let's see.
Ted, it asks about the VPA and not being able to take that on a mobile device. It's just a question wondering why that's the case.
Yeah, that's a good question. Oh, that's a good question. So the Voxy proficiency assessment does have to be taken at a computer or at like a tablet using a mobile browser. There are activities within the proficiency assessment that will test someone's reading comprehension, and it can be very difficult to read those passages on those longer passages on a mobile device. We are at Voxy, and it's definitely an ongoing point of discussion whether or not we can have a mobile assessment. But right now, the Voxy proficiency assessment does have to be taken on a computer or a tablet. But programs can set the level of learners if they've assessed using some other tool. They don't have to use the VPA. It's included in the platform, but they can use other assessments. So I wanted to jump over and actually show you Voxy. We don't have time for a full tour of the platform from learners and the administrator or teacher experience, but I want to show you give you a quick tour. So I'm in the Voxy platform, and you'll see that there are 3 units that can either be assigned or based on the learner's interests, they can enroll in those courses. Something about Voxy is that we have an extensive catalog of courses and lessons. We actually have over 25,000 individual lessons in the platform. And when you buy licenses to Voxy, you have access to all of that content, and your learners have access to all of that content. So this is an example of a lesson from the English for IT Help Desk. Learners can understand the English of providing technical support. Because even if someone has very strong technical skills, whether that's a software engineer who knows coding languages, they also have to understand the English of working with customers and working with colleagues. So this is where learners can actually gain some technical skills and gain the language skills associated with that profession. Another example, this is from the English for Certified Nursing Assistants course. And you'll see that there's a listening activity. There's 3 different activities associated with a given lesson. But learners can also learn English based on their interest areas. So this is a personalized unit. Learners can use this little icon here to find articles that are in the general area of celebrities and entertainment, but they have a lot of power to control the specific content that they're using to learn English. I want to show you the catalog. The catalog has 3 different areas. I'm going to start all the way to the right. The Real Media section. This is where, as I mentioned, we're publishing new content on a daily basis. So this was actually launched 12 hours ago. Learning about germs, 20 hours ago. These 3 lessons were launched in the last day. This was launched yesterday, 2 days ago. So learners, there's always something new related to current events. We're definitely adding a lot of content related to health and safety and understanding, how to protect oneself, whether that's using PPE or social distancing at work. So we always add relevant, up-to-date content. There's always something new in Voxy. Personalized units. So these are different interest areas. I showed you the celebrities and entertainment, but if a learner is interested in the environment or health or food and drink or politics, they can actually, this is a recommendation engine where Voxy pulls from our vast content library the lessons that are at that learner's proficiency level, aligned with their interest, and the activities adapt to the skills that that learner needs to work on. And then the courses. This is where we have a course catalog with general English courses ranging from beginning literacy all the way up to advanced English, test preparation. And you'll see you could utilize some of these courses related to academic transitions. English for different engineers, MBAs, telecommunications, another career pathway. We have beginner business skills, intermediate business skills, a full business English course with almost 400 lessons, career pathways related to the airline industry, whether those are customer facing or English for aircraft maintenance technicians, certified nursing assistants, customer service. So the list goes on. This is content that you can utilize to build those on-ramps to different career pathway programs. And the other thing I wanted to show you is that two other really important areas are the word bank. So as learners are practicing their lessons, the platform is actually keeping track of those vocabulary words they're learning. And they're able to, whether it's on the go or on the web platform, they're able to access online flashcards where they can see, which words they're learning, what was the image associated with that word, what was the context that they learned that word. There is live instruction, so Voxy does have integrated live classes 24/7, 7 days a week, whenever the learner is available. And the learner can actually see how much time on task they've spent over the last 3 months. And this is all available to teachers and administrators in the platform, how they're doing in their skills performance, where they're spending time in the platform. So that was a quick and dirty tour of Voxy from the learner experience. Again, they can always access their 3 assigned courses or 3 enrolled courses. And learners, can access those courses, the catalog, the word bank, the live instruction. They can access that on their phone as well. So I'm going to go back, and of course, if there are questions, please chat those in. We have Dan Helms from ProLiteracy, who is on the chat. But also, I want to encourage you to reach out to your New Readers Press representative. I think Dan can put that into the chat. That this link right here on the New Readers Press website, that can help you connect with the sales rep for your region. Through New Readers Press, you can access Voxy. You can learn about how nonprofits and educational programs can leverage this content to build new career pathways and on-ramps to career pathway programs. We're seeing so many adult education and community college programs that are successfully helping their learners to transition from ESOL classes, general English classes, to more career-specific, training programs. So I hope you'll take advantage of that.
Hi, Ted. Let's see, there's one question on here that I'm answering in the chat right now, and another that I did answer, but I want to run past you to make sure I got it right. And then there's a third just comment on here. So here's the one I want to double check with you. It is from Stephanie, who mentions that just many of their students don't have a computer. My response to Stephanie was that the VPA is the only part of Voxy that has to be completed on a computer. Everything else that you showed them works on the mobile app. And then even when you set up Voxy classes, when we do the initial onboarding, they could choose to make that VPA optional and then really just postpone it until they're able to administer the VPA in person on a computer, and they could assign it to their learners at that time. Did I miss there?
No, that's correct. You know, especially when you know that a learner is a beginner, you know, you can sign them up for the beginning literacy course. You can set their level to beginner. If you have a prior assessment, and I know a lot of different states are right now not requiring the assessment, so that you can use other scores, and also they can take that VPA. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes. They can take that when they can have access to a computer at any time. So it doesn't have to be the first thing that they do using the Voxy platform. I also saw a question about cost. So Voxy, that is a question that you can talk about with your New Readers Press representative. There is different pricing based on volume, as well as whether you're purchasing the digital self-study or digital self-study plus live instruction. So definitely I encourage you to have a conversation with your New Readers Press representative about the different costs associated with Voxy. One of the great benefits of the program is that the service is included, that configuration and training. So it is just the cost of the licenses for your learners, and the licenses are transferable. So you can use them with one cohort of learners in the fall, and then a different cohort of learners in the winter. You don't lose the data when you transfer those licenses. You still keep that learner data, the usage data. The other thing is that we all know that learners come and go. You know, sometimes they might exit a program early, they might come back. So you do have the ability to deactivate the accounts for learners that are not using them and reassign that seat. But let's say a learner comes back, you can reactivate their seat. And that ability is all included in the platform. Also, the licenses for staff, for the command center, the tracking tool, and administrative tool, that's all included as well.
Okay, and I'm working on an answer to another question right now, and I basically stated the same thing you did about cost, that we customize quotes for providers depending on various factors. I provided a link so that they could look up their New Readers Press sales representatives. Somebody is just asking about tech support. You want to talk about the different ways that tech support is available to them?
Yeah, so in the platform, learners can actually, they have access to live chat. So during normal business hours, during the day, they can actually chat with a human being within the Voxy platform. If it's, you know, late at night, that will send an email to the learner support team. And then, you know, from a technical perspective for teachers or administrators, you'll have customer support success from the New Readers Press and ProLiteracy team.
Okay, let me see. I believe that we have now answered all of the questions. I'm happy to stay on here for a little while longer to see if any additional questions come in. But in the Q&A, we had 7 questions. We've answered all. In the chat box, we had another, 4 or 5, and we've answered those as well.
Great. Well, I encourage each of you to learn more about how this career pathway content can support your programs, can support your learners. It's been really exciting to hear about all of the programs that are going on during COVID and the adaptations of program models. I do want to always recognize our teachers, our adult education instructors, because 2020 and the year with our, the coronavirus pandemic has caused so many challenges and so many changes to happen without that advanced notice that we all would have wanted to plan what you want your programs to look like. But digital tools can really help you to have flexible models to accommodate some of the challenges with classrooms that are not open in the same way that they normally are. Allow learners to study from home, and you'll know exactly what those learners are doing, how engaged they are, and what their performance is, as well as what courses they're completing. So I encourage you, I recognize that it's been a challenging year. I encourage you to leverage technologies to provide your learners with content that relates to their goals. I look forward to hearing more about the programs that are built through this partnership.